for Football at 4 with Geoff Mosher.
My personality is I want to win badly. I want to win more Lombardis for Philadelphia and our fans. We got the greatest fans around, and I will do everything possible.
Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Now, live from inside the Matt Black Kia Studios. This is Football at 4.
Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, and it is brought to you, of course, by our friends over at the Gallery Bar, Book, and Games in Ocean Casino Resort. This football season, cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Go to Gallery and Ocean Casino Resort to go for the win. For more information, visit oceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Mike Gill with you. Geoff Mosher from InsideTheBirds.com and the Inside the Birds podcast is here as the Eagles one day closer to Friday night's matchup with the New York Jets. And, Moshe, let's start with what possibly one thing that Nick Sirianni said today that I guess stands out is that the starters are going to get 1 to 2 series in that game. And I guess that's notable because we all kind of figured we're not going to see any starters in the preseason. So it looks like we will see starters at least for a couple series on Friday night.
Yeah, I was sort of surprised as you were when you heard it. I mean, the way they've been following their regimen going back to OTAs, everything they do is with careful preservation of bodies. So it surprised me a little bit, Mike. But then when you sit back and think of it, one, he didn't fully commit to anything other than 1 or 2 series. And then 2, if you look at the state of the starters right now, there are a lot of guys who you would consider starters who are probably not going to play because they've been out of practice. You know, we're talking about Jason Kelce. I mean, I know Fletcher Cox is, was ramping up from COVID for the first 5 or 6 days. I kind of wonder if you'll really see him. Boston Scott's been out. Kenneth Gainwell's been out. So I don't know exactly. When he says starters are going to be playing, it almost feels like some starters will be playing. Even that left tackle with Mailata and Dillard, they came back. But is he going to start them in this game after they just came back from injuries? I think that's something we have to see. Yeah,
and I know that, you got a couple of the left tackle spot, too. Are you going to play those two guys with the concussion situations there? Are we going to see a full brigade, I guess, of starters? That remains to be seen. We do know we're not going to see Jason Kelce, Geoff Mosher, so kind of give us some insight on how long we might not see Kelce for. Will he be ready for the opener? And what's the plan behind Kelce now?
Yeah, I would think he'll be ready for the opener because of the time allotted between now and then. There's still several weeks for the opener to go. He's got that long streak of consecutive games played, I think in 123 games, and I imagine that they knew that, or at least they felt that if he got the elbow done now, that he would be able to have that under control and healthy enough by the time that they take the field on September 11th. So it sounds it was bothering him. He was trying to play through it, see if it would get better. It did not, and they felt like this was the best time to get it taken care of to make sure that he's ready as close as possible to the season opener.
I know depth chart is put out by the PR staff here, but were there any surprises with that first depth chart of this preseason that was released earlier this week? I guess one that we can maybe go over is the returner was Jalen Reagor was listed as the starter at both spots. Is that an indication that he's going to be a surely on this team? But any takeaways from the depth chart?
No, I mean, it's hard to do a takeaway because it's really how some teams have their PR staff fill them out. I have no idea if this was really done by Nick Sirianni or anybody, or Howie Roseman, or if it was just simply done by the PR folks. So, yeah, I thought it stood out to me that Jalen Reagor was a kick returner.
And the punt returner.
He had taken reps there. And punt returner didn't stand out because that he was a punt returner. I know he didn't excel at it last year, but if he's going to be on the 53 here, then, and he's not a starting wide receiver, you'd imagine that he would be in the mix at punt return, if not the leading candidate. It doesn't listen, none of this means anything. I mean, I still think that there's a big question mark about whether he's going to be on this team in 2 or 3 weeks when the roster is decided. But for now, kick return, punt return. And then I saw defensive end Brandon Graham is a starter, but they also kind of have Josh Sweat as a starting defensive end and Reddick as the starting Sam linebacker with Cox and Hargrave at DT. So that's probably not a look that we'll see a whole lot. I mean, I imagine you'll see Jordan Davis in there when they want to have kind of a 5-man front or a 34 type front. And when they want to be a 4-3 team and rush the passer, it's probably when you'll see Brandon Graham in that kind of rotational defensive end role.
Yeah, I know that we're all kind of like, oh, what are they going to do up front defensively? It seems like the answer is everything. They're going to do 3-man fronts, 4-man fronts, 5-man fronts. It's just going to basically depend on team they play, maybe down in distance. Have we gotten any better indication? And do we think we'll get any indication on that on Friday night? Or is it just a fluid week-to-week, play-to-play, quarter-to-quarter, game-to-game?
I mean, so the thing is, Mike, I think like as a market in Philadelphia, after we had Jim Schwartz here for, 16, 17, about 5 years, that was a key 5 years for how the league was starting to change up front philosophically, doing a lot of multiple fronts. I mean, the Patriots have been doing it for a long time, but obviously Vic Fangio has been with like 2 teams in that 5-year span, and other teams have copycatted from him. And, Jim was very simplistic, right? It was a 4-man front. Everybody's going to go rush at the quarterback. So now when we talk about the stuff, we're like, what are we going to see? And other teams, I guess, around the league have had this conversation already. The Eagles are sort of catching up to it. So to answer your question, yeah, you're probably going to see mixes of everything depending on down and distance. And I even don't think after week 1 we're going to truly learn what their defense is. I think it's going to be, I know it's going to be matchup driven. And so who you're playing on a week-to-week basis is going to determine what kind of fronts and formations you're going to be in primarily when you play those teams.
Geoff Mosher, InsideTheBirds.com. Any things specifically, I mean, because you won't be back on for football for the rest of the week here. So what are you going to be looking for in terms of roster battles, position battles, some of the things that have kind of stuck out in training camp that you'll get your first chance to see on Friday night?
Well, I think Britton Covey stands out right away. This is a rookie free agent who has impressed the team with his ability to not only return punts, but show some quickness and short area burst in the wide receiver game. And I imagine he's going to get a lot of opportunities to showcase himself. If Jalen Reagor's not on this team, then it's because Britton Covey, made the 53 as both a punt returner and then down the road probably get him in on the offense and slot receiver if he's ready for it. So you'll be watching for him. I think the quarterbacks will be pretty interesting. Obviously, Jalen, if he plays, is only going to play a little bit, but Reed Sinnett has had a really good camp, and he's pushing to be the number 3. He's pushing them to keep 3 quarterbacks if they want to do that. I don't know, but I know Carson Strong came in with the name and the big arm, but Reed Sinnett has really stood out from that standpoint. I mean, I think safety, you're going to have to look at the safety spot because this is a really, really weak spot. Adam and I have both been told by the team, by our sources, I said, that the team is sort of, looking at that spot saying, everywhere else is pretty solid, but this one we need to maybe do something at. I mean, Marcus Epps is going to be a starter. He's probably he's their best coverage safety. He might even be their best safety at this point. Anthony Harris has been out with a tooth thing or tooth issue. I don't know beyond that. But Kevon Wallace has not been overly impressive in his career so far, and Jaquaski Tartt's been away from the team for personal reasons, and we were told that he was sort of learning the defense and not exactly doing things to make you think that he's definite to make the team to begin with. And I know McMullen was on with you guys earlier and talked about Reed Blankenship getting some run on the first team recently, and same thing with Andre Sachere. And while that's good stories for them, it's not necessarily a great story for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Right, that some guys who are very green could be big factors. Another green guy, Josiah Scott, what kind of possibilities does he have to make the team? He was a guy that, they brought in last year. It was in Jacksonville. Most people just thought he was kind of like a nickel corner, but are they getting him prepared to be a versatile guy that give him a better shot to make this team?
Yeah, they are. And right now, if the competition ended today and they kept 5 cornerbacks, you would imagine he would make the fifth because of his versatility, the ability to play the slot, the ability to play outside, the ability to play safety, which they've lined him up in camp. You need that, especially with what you want to do defensively, and that's doing a lot of mirror and match coverage or pattern matching, as they call it. You need as many cover guys on the back end to pull that off. I mean, having safeties who come up in the box is not or corners who can't really run or who can only play one spot is not ideal when you're trying to do those things that Jonathan Gannon is trying to do. And, we were told that Josiah Scott has clearly excelled when you look at that group of potential fifth corners. That includes Mac McCain and Terry Vincent Jr. and trying to think of some other names that are out there. But, like Mario Goodrich and Josh Jobe. We were told Jobe's doing a nice job, but really right now it would be Josiah Scott as that fifth corner with, Bradbury and Slay and Avonte Maddox as your top three and Zach McPherson as your four.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are always liking to see the younger players. So Friday night, do you anticipate seeing Jordan Davis? I mean, he said 1 to 2 series. Does that mean everybody, or, hey, I'm placating and just going to tell you? I know he's been getting pushed on, why wouldn't you know if the starters are playing? So I think his answer today was more like placating to, yeah, maybe 1 or 2 series, and that could change.
Yeah, I would think you would see Jordan Davis out there, although I don't know. Last year, if I recall correctly in the preseason opener, he did play his starters for maybe a series or two, but everybody except for Miles Sanders. For whatever reason, Miles Sanders did not play, and I remember everybody sort of speculating, what does that mean? Is he in the doghouse or this or that? But he didn't play, and he wasn't in the doghouse. He started the season as the starting running back. So I don't know if they're going to look at Jordan Davis and say, we really don't have another nose tackle that can do as many things as he can do, and we can't afford him to get hurt. But you have to also weigh the fact that you got to see the guy play, and you got to know he can hold up against NFL competition. So I imagine if he does play, he'll see a series or two before coming out.
Yeah, I know. And then you got Juergens, who's a second-round pick, who will probably now play because of the fact that Kelsey's out. I guess the other question is, in your mind, you guys talked about this on the podcast, and we talked about a guy on Monday when we were looking at Stock Up, which was Reed Sinnett. Is he in any sort of possibility of passing over Gardner Minshew?
I don't think so. I really don't. It's one thing to be impressed with a guy's abilities and his talents, and it's another thing to be able to just boost him up over a guy like Gardner Minshew, who has had really, good success in this league for a backup quarterback and even kind of an emergency starter like he was for the Jaguars. And I know that Minshew hasn't had the best camp. Some of the interceptions haven't been his fault, but even still, I think that they're just looking for more development, or if they were to get rid of Gardner Minshew, who is in the last year of his deal, if they were to trade him at the deadline, they might want to be comfortable with Reed Sinnett as a backup, and so they need to get and they will get a very long look at him here in the 3 preseason games to see what he's made of.
All right, well, it's all Friday night right here on 97.3 ESPN. 6:30 the pregame, 7:30 Merrill Reese and Mike Quick. And by the way, like Merrill Reese, we had so many huge Philadelphia personalities and people cherish as many more seasons as you get to hear Merrill Reese. As long as he wants to keep doing it, 7:30 he's back with Mike Quick right here on 97.3 ESPN. So Merrill Reese, Mike Quick, Friday night. Looking forward to that. Geoff Mosher. All right, buddy. We will be recapping all the action on Monday when you're back for Football at 4.
All right, Mike. Take care. Thanks.
That's Geoff Mosher from Inside the Birds, the Inside the Birds podcast.